Hi, my name is Mateusz, and today I will show you how to import and export things in Tactplan. We will start from a couple of basic tips and tricks regarding locations and resources, and then we will import a schedule from a Gantt chart, so you will be able to see how to do it effectively. Let's get started. During your work in Tactplan, you must probably notice those buttons import export. You can see them in many views, as I mentioned, locations, resources, calendars. It's a little bit different, but also it's import calendar, tags, and also in the grid and table view in the schedule part. They can help you with a lot of things, not only with just import or export the whole schedule, but also with your everyday work. Let's take resources as an example. Of course, we can add and remove resources from this level with the button of Add Resource button or just right-clicking and deleting them. But what if we have a lot of resources to add or modify and we would like to make it a little bit smarter? Then we can press Export button, copy to clipboard. We open Excel file and just Ctrl-V, copy-paste them in this Excel sheet. Of course, we can just modify the columns width. And then we can see the IDs of the resources, their names, the code, colors, etc., etc. So what if we would just like to modify the capacity of those resources, like double them? Then we can just click like this, double the resources, copy all of them, go back to our Tactplan resources view, click Import, Ctrl-V, and click Import. And as you can see, all the number of the resources capacities have been doubled. It's much quicker than if just you need to click manually in the system. We can also add some more resources. I will use it as an example. So you noticed that previously the capacities have been doubled. So those resources who've been already added before, they've been just modified. That's because we have this ID number here. Just for an example, I can remove this number of ID. I will maybe just, to show the difference, add like one resource here, and then do the same which I did before, but without those IDs in the column. So let's see what happens. I'm clicking Import, clicking Ctrl-V, and then click Import. And as you can see, now the system didn't modify back the capacity to 1, but instead it added me another set of lines as additional resources. That's why, because as I mentioned before, I have just removed the IDs and then the system treats it as a new thing to add. So for instance, if you would like to just add a couple of other resources like A, B, C, then I need some colors for them. I will just borrow from here. I will need some numbers. I will borrow from here. And then I can just copy paste those 3 lines. Going back to Tactplan Resources view, click Import, Ctrl-V, and click Import. And as you can see, I will move myself up for a second. You can have quickly, even if it's like 100 copy-pasted information from maybe some other resource, maybe some database you have in your organization, then you can easily add them here and import via Excel tool. The same you can do, of course, for locations, for tags, and for many others areas like quantities and costs, which, by the way, they are a little bit more complicated and will be a subject for maybe a different video. So let's move to the main part now and let's import some Gantt chart schedule. This is my schedule. As you can see, it's typical Gantt chart with a critical path. So I have my task names, my durations, start and finish dates, and predecessor. There are some nice Gantt chart bars here and some descriptions. And now let's move it to Tactplan And since Tactplan is a location-based scheduling tool, first we need to check how are the locations looking in the schedule. So as you can see, it's very basic. We have foundations, so probably it's some underground part. Then we have basement, ground floor, the number of floors. Facade is an external one, and some installations, but again, they are of course located in some locations mentioned before, so -1, ground floor, etc., etc. So I will use those levels as my main part of the location breakdown, and this is the first step we need to do. We need to create a new schedule, give it a name, and then the rest we can omit for the second, and click Save. We enter the schedule, go to Locations, and add some project breakdown locations. In our schedule, we have 6 floors of the building and then some external areas and facade. So let it be our main location breakdown structure in our new schedule in Tactplan. We go to Locations. Let's add a location level. Let's give it a name like Area. We can change it later, of course. And then another like Location. And click Close. So now I can just add like 1, 2, 3 areas, which first one will be the building itself, second one will be facade, and third one will be external areas. And now let's give them some sub-levels. So for instance, in the building will be, how many of them it was? It was like 6 floors plus roof plus ground and basement, which is 9 levels. So what I would just do, I would add like 9 levels, and of course then we have basement, ground floor, and roof. So this will be like the basement, and we move it in the beginning, then ground floor, and we move to the next position, and the roof, and we click Save. Then once we have the facade, let's see how in our schedule the facade breakdown looks like. The facade is also broken down on the levels in our schedule, so let's leave it like this. But of course we can imagine that facade can have different breakdown, for instance like south, east, west, and north. So we keep the same for the facade, but of course there's no facade in the basement, so there will be only 8 locations. And the last, external areas in our schedule. Here it looks like we have connections, roads, sidewalks, and green areas. The next step will be the export from the grid view. But before we do it, because since we don't have any tasks here, now we only have the locations breakdown structure, let's move and jump for a second to the fully developed schedule in Tactplan, just for you to have a look how this export, not only locations, which we have now in our schedule, but also with the schedule itself will look like. So for instance, if we have tasks in our schedule and we go to the grid view, we click export, we have some parameters which we skip for a second, copy to clipboard. Then we go to Excel, create new sheet, and then paste all the data here. So for the fully development schedule, the data looks like this. So as you can see, this you already know that it's the ID number. Then we have the name of the tasks. Then there's some code, It's empty here, but it can be. And then we have start and finish dates, colors, the information about the tasks. Is it ASAP? 0 means no, 1 means yes. Is it paced? 1 means yes, 0 means no, of course. Is it a milestone? The same. And then we have location precision. So it's the indicator if the task is on the location precision of 0, which is project, building, or flow. So it's a similar breakdown location like in our schedule, right? We have the whole project, couple of buildings, and then the floors levels of each building. So usually is the top bottom. So if we have like 2 here, it will be 2 like this, but of course it doesn't have to be like this. And then for each task and for each activity in our schedule, we have the number of days it takes per each level. And this is the main difference between the typical Gantt chart, critical path method scheduling and location-based scheduling. Then in our schedule, that here we have the task which takes place in multiple locations. For a Gantt chart, you would probably need to create ventilations for ground floor, for level 1, for the roof, etc., etc. So that would be the separate tasks with the separate just one location, one-dimensional schedule. Here, as you can see, you have matrix, so you have multiple locations assigned to one task at the same time, which is very convenient, of course. Let's back to our example then. As mentioned before, there's no tasks in our schedule yet. We want to import them from MS Project. We have only our locations. So when I go to grid and do the same like I did for this demo schedule, so I just click export and copy to clipboard. When I go to the blank sheet and then just Ctrl V, then you can see I have only my empty table with some location structure. And that's exactly I need for now to migrate my tasks from MS Project. I'm going to my MS Project schedule, and what I do is just copy pasting all the tasks with duration and start date. That's only I need, because if I have my start date and my duration, the finish date will be calculated automatically based on the calendar assigned to our schedule. So we don't need this finish date for now to migrate and recreate the schedule. So I have my whole schedule, all the tasks marked, and then just press Ctrl C, go to Excel, create new empty sheet. We need to organize this data a little bit before we copy paste them to our table. So let's just remove the headers, we don't need them. And since we need only the basic tasks with the duration in days and the starting date, we need to remove all the unnecessary data, like for instance those headers, all those descriptions like days or Monday, Tuesday, Friday. This we don't need. We can get rid of this with the use of AI, with use of scripting, or we can just manually remove them. Even for a longer schedule, it's not that difficult. I'm usually scrolling through all the schedule and all the tasks anyway. So very often I just do it manually, even if I can just do it the scripting, because then I can just learn the schedule better and understand it more. After removing all unnecessary rows, I'm starting with my days. So I just mark this column, Ctrl F, and then select replace, and then find what? Find space days and replace with nothing. Replace all. And 190 replacements were done. We can go, if there's maybe somewhere 1 day, then maybe we need to do it again for 1 day. But generally, yeah, here's 1 day. So Ctrl F, and then as a second 1 day, replace all. And then we have everything. Then the same we do for Mondays, Tuesdays, and the rest of the weekdays. And that's it. That was super quick. Of course, as I mentioned before, this all can be done with AI or with scripting, but it's super quick also to do like this. It's literally like 3 minutes. After we have a dataset prepared like this, we are ready to migrate it to our Takt Plan schedule. I'm marking everything now. Control C, moving to my empty locational breakdown from Takt Plan schedule, and place it here with the name Control V. As you can see, it's almost okay because I have my name in the right place, I have my start date in the right place, but then my code is not a code but the number of days which is here pasted. This is what I prefer to do because then it's super easy for me to orient which days I've already moved and where. Because for instance, if I have my demolitions, I can just imagine that this goes to the basement. And maybe we have some more demolitions also in external areas, so we can do like 10 days in the basement and 10 days in external areas. Then we have our excavations, and again, we can just do like, I don't know, 5 days here and 10 in external areas. In total 15, so I'm removing this one. Strip footing we will put here, and then those three first lines we have already behind, and then starts something which is like repeatable rhythm of typical Gantt chart. So we have some, no, it's only also a path foundation, let's put it here, and then we start this repeatable sequence of all the locations from the bottom to top. So what I can do just very quickly, I can just select this -1, go to the basement and move it there. Then I have my ground floor and move it here. Then I have my columns on and walls and slabs on floor number 1, I move it here, and so on and so forth. So I can very quickly bulk. For most of the schedules I usually meet in the market, they are just exactly the same. So we have just repeatable sequences, one after another, because Gantt chart is one-dimensional. You cannot assign to the same task multiple locations and multiple durations. In Tactplan, as you can see, you can. For bigger datasets, when I'm starting to lose my headers, I can always go here and just click Freeze Panels, and then I can just move smoothly the data across the screen without losing the headers and the names of the tasks. So let's continue forward. As you can see, I've made a mistake here. I've assigned the facade and windows to the floors inside, but of course we have space for here. But no worries, I can just take this and move it to my facade area, and I'm ready to go. And now we start with the ground floor, and we end with the roof insulation in the roof. Now let's do installations inside of the building. Last but not least, we have some connections, roads, and sidewalks. Client handover and project completion, they are tasks which are referring to the global whole project level. So I will leave them here in the first beginning of the table, and then I will assign them as a level 0, so they will be applied to all the tasks. So as I mentioned before, finish date and color, they are not needed at the moment. Here we need to do like ASAP 0, paste 0, and milestone 0, because none of those tasks are ASAP, paste, or milestone. And then I just copy paste them across the whole schedule. With the location precision, it's also simple. Maybe not that simple as those three, but as I mentioned before, we have 3 location precision levels. Basically, we go with the location precision 2 for all of the tasks, practically, almost. And then our global tasks, which is the client handover and project completion, they will be precision 0 and 0. And here we have a final inspection for external areas. That will be 1 level up, so 1, because for the whole external areas, not only connections or sidewalks or green areas, but all the external areas. So it's here, and it's 1. And then we have facade also 1. And for the building, we don't have one common final inspection, but it's divided for the floors, so it stays 2. Okay, so now we're ready to migrate it to Tactplan. Let's see how it goes. I'm taking my whole dataset without the headers. So in this case, it's line number 5 and everything, including the ID column, even if it's empty. And I'm marking like this, Control C. My date format is month, day, year. So I'm going now to my empty schedule, click import, Control V, and I have my month, day, year format. But, and this is a good example, I think I forgot about something, because for the roof finishes, I have some error. And this is actually a good accident that I've made it. So let's see what's going on here. A subtask must contain at least 1 location task. So it's line number 47. Let's cancel it for a second. Let's move to our schedule and let's find this agent 47. I think it's 47 plus 5. Yes, it's 47 of this. So roof finishes, and indeed I didn't apply any duration in any location. So that would be the roof in the facade area. So that would be this. I can't remember now what was the duration. Let's put it 4 here, just for a quick moving forward. Control C. We move back to Tactplan, import, Control V. And everything is now okay. We don't have any red markings, so we can just click import. And that's it. So we have our schedule here. I can click save. And let's move to the Flowline view to see if our schedule is optimal. As you can see, now it's maybe not fully visible, so I will just remove the hide name option. I will click the hide name option, remove the names. As you can see, we have full representation of our Microsoft project schedule. So you have all the tasks and all the dates exactly the same. So for instance, HVAC installation starts on 1st April. Let's move here. And then let's see in takt time, maybe it will be easier. 1st April. HV installation, April 1st till April 9th. It's in our Microsoft projects, it's also April 9th. So you can see the whole schedule is fully migrated one-to-one. But of course, This has some benefits. You can see the schedule, you can analyze, and very often you can find some collisions you don't see in Microsoft project, any Gantt chart formation, because as you can see here, the tasks are reflected not only in time, but of course with the locations. So you can see if any task is performed at the same time, at the same location, and then maybe there are collisions. And as you can see, there are plenty collisions here. And of course, some of them, maybe they are possible to conduct, but for sure, some of them, they will be just pure collisions and clashes, and there will be no possibility to continue the work in parallel for both teams and both trades. That gives us opportunity to see what we don't see here in the Gantt chart bars, because they are distributed vertically across multiple pages of printouts or many scrolling screens. This is how it works, and this is the first step that is usually very productive on construction site. However, this is just one-to-one import-export, and because we have different architectures of the data collection in Tactplan and in Gantt chart, because this is one-dimensional and each level has a separate part, and each task for each level, like suspended ceilings 4, suspended ceilings 5, suspended ceilings 3, they need just a separate location, separate task to reflect the location. In Tactplan, now this schedule, because it is a reflection of the Gantt chart, is the same. But what we usually do, and what we can do more to benefit even more from this location-based scheduling breakdown, is to create the schedule which consists of the tasks which are assigned to multiple locations. So here, unfortunately, it's just a simple one-dimensional migration. So the tasks, as you can see, they are not connected. They don't have finished start connections. It's just a snapshot. But it's a good place to start to see how healthy is our Gantt chart, how healthy is our plan in the critical path method. What we can do next, of course, and what I recommend, what I usually do for our clients, is just to start from scratch, just to create another location breakdown structure. Maybe, for instance, with some modifications, I would probably go with facades, not location, but location floor by floor. By the way, it's like location 1, 2, 3, it's floor 1, 2, 3. But maybe this is good for the building and for the floors, but for the facade, that would be like east, west, south, north, right? So I would start from the scratch, creating new, a little bit modified location breakdown structure, and then creating the tasks in the logic or construction site. So what I mean by that is, if I have my flow line, and if I have I saw here a nice example to show you this final inspection. Of course, this refers to all, but this is nicely visible here. Final inspection is a continuous work which is performed by the group of people, and they don't think about this like, final inspection basement, final inspection ground floor. Generally, preferably, we would like to think that it's just the one task performed across the whole location. So instead of creating like a 10 or 12 subtasks, separate tasks, which I need to connect, which I need to maintain later, I would prefer to think about this like a one task continuous across all the locations, and then with subtasks, which sub-activities, with subtasks and with sub-activities, which are referring to the each detailed location. And this is how we can do it in Tactplan. For instance, we can imagine that, going back to our table in Excel, that instead just distributing here, which we are a little bit forced to do if you want just migrate the schedule, one-dimensional schedule from Gantt, we can imagine that if we have like final inspection, it can be like, it could be just one task, final inspection, and then all the durations will be in one line, referring to the same activity, to the same resource which is assigned. So there's no need to assign like 12 times the same resource for different tasks and create 12 dependencies. It's just a one task with the specific durations across different locations. That is much easier, and that after this first step we did, just to see the health status of this project, to see how it looks and where we have potential bottlenecks and collisions. As I can see, you have plenty of them here. We could probably also create some resources and assign them to see how the resource overload may look like. But generally, we can identify those here and then start from the beginning and create it in the right architecture, which is appropriate for location-based scheduling and much more effective in the real life. That would be all for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.